A light exists in spring, not present on the year, at any other period, when March is scarcely here. A color stands abroad on solitary fields that science cannot overtake, but human nature feels. It waits upon the lawn, it shows the furthest tree. Upon the furthest slope, you know, it almost speaks to you. Then, as horizons step, or noons report away, without the formula of sound, it passes, and we stay. A quality of loss affecting our content, as trade has suddenly encroached upon a sacrament.
Hello, welcome back. I'm here, and I wanted to have a chat because obviously I haven't been here in a while, and because the last time I was here, I was kind of crashing out a little bit, and I have been sitting with some stuff, going through a little bit of a shift, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit before I, started to post my normal content again. So, hello, happy 2025. Did I even post in 2025? I don't even know if I did, but if I didn't, happy 2025. We are like 3 months into the new year, and it's yep. So, a little bit of a life update. January and February were spent mostly doing stuff revolving around the opera company I am currently working with. They have an outreach program in which they go into public libraries and schools, and we do like a very shortened version of an opera that is very accessible for young people. So it's can be like second grade or it can be high school. And this year they did Hansel and Gretel. I think last year they did Cinderella, and then they've done a couple of other different ones. They've done Hansel and Gretel before, but I have never done Hansel and Gretel before, and I was very surprised to be approached to be Gretel because of a couple of different things. I've only done one, I'm 47, soon to be 48, one opera role in my entire life, like role. And that was Queen of the Night. It's a very short role. She's got 2 arias and like a thing at the end, and then she dies. It's very brief. The 3 times when she is on stage, it's very exciting, but it's not really a lot of work per se. You're not preparing like tons of material. So the shortened version of Hansel and Gretel is about 45 minutes, and I was very surprised when I was approached, and I was like texting my teacher. I was like, could I sing Hansel and Gretel? Because I don't really have a good assessment of my own competency. So she's like, of course, yeah, that you could do that, and like, that's for you. Go do it. Say yes. And so, all of January and all of February I spent, well, not all of February, but most of January I spent preparing. We staged it in a week, and we did 8 shows. It was double cast. There was 2 Gretels and 2 Hansels. My Hansel coworker, she ended up doing, I think, 10 shows because there was a time when the other Hansel was absent. And I have to say, I had so much fun. I have never felt like I was able to handle anything like that, and it was just really fun. I drove all around Boston. I went to Dorchester. I went to Medford. I went to Cambridge. I went to, where else did I go? I forgot. Went to Dedham, I think. I went all around to all these other schools and like little branches of Boston Public Library, and the Boston Public Library shows were lit. Like, they were lit. We had such big crowds there and little kids, and they loved it because the performance is a performance of Hansel and Gretel, but it's also a there's audience participation, so we have a narrator as well, and they would, you know, every now and again call for a volunteer to come on stage and like be the mother, you know, or be the father, or, you know, and it was just so cute, and I loved it. It was a 10 out of 10, beautiful, positive experience. One of the most like self-affirming experiences as an artist that I've had, and I really, really enjoyed it. But it took up a lot of my time, like both like physical time and like mental like time. And so I thought, I was like, oh, I could post. I could definitely post. I could not post. I could not post. And so I spent a lot of time doing that, which was all good, right? And I had the Incantata Singers, we did our concert about 2 weeks ago. We did a new piece by a composer named Scott Perkins, and it was kind of about the damage that humans do to the earth and the environment, and it was like a beautiful piece. I loved it. It was so great. It seemed to be like not coming together very well until the concert week, and all of a sudden it came together, and I was like, gold. So, and I spent a good amount of time fixing up my home. There were like Christmas decorations up until the spring equinox. I am not even kidding. We had our Christmas trees up in the hallway until the spring equinox. And so I decided that it was finally time to take them down. Girl, just let go of winter. It is spring now, but I mean, it is still like quite cold here in Massachusetts. We had a few nice days. Like there were days when it was like 60 degrees, 65 degrees in the day, and now we're back into freezing-ish temperatures, and that's always very jarring, and I don't love that, but that's where we are right now. It is March. I have to remind myself that it is March here in New England, and like you never know what you're gonna get. So that's what I've been up to for like January and February. I'm about to shift the conversation into a place that might make some people uncomfortable. And if you are uncomfortable talking about racism or any of that stuff, you can click out and come to the next one. But I have had to have some really uncomfortable conversations with myself over the last couple of weeks, and I needed to sit inside of that for a little bit before I came back. Because those things were very painful to process. So that is your like content warning for the rest of this video. If you are a person of color, you may find this affirming and relatable. If you are a white person, you may find this information informative. I have made a few videos in the past on both this channel and my main channel about imposter syndrome. That is the phenomenon where psychologically you feel like you're an imposter, like you didn't earn any of your achievements, that you luck boxed into wherever you were, and you were like special in a bad way. And I started to feel like I would been experiencing a phenomenon like this in, I think it was 2018, because I was trying to figure out why the hell I felt like not, like I didn't earn my place in like ensembles I was singing in. And this has a lot to, the singing stuff is very powerful, but I felt this way in like other parts of my life as well. And so I discovered that there was something like imposter syndrome. It was a thing that existed, and that I wasn't experiencing this alone. I mean, none of us really have universal experience, unique experiences, right? So I began to sort of explore this, and I sought therapy for it. I read a bunch of books, And I did all these exercises and try to be like really self-affirming. And I did a lot of the things that I was supposed to do to combat this or to work on it. And when I would stack up, one of the things they tell you to do is like stack up all your list of your achievements. And, you know, that's like evidence for you to prove to yourself that you're not an imposter. And I would do all of these things, and it helped a little bit, but there was still something very, very deep underneath. It's almost like if you are in the dark and you can see something glowing, like let's see, like, you know, when twinkly lights that are battery operated, when the battery is about to run out of power, you can still see the light, but it's really faint, and you can see it in the dark, but you're not really sure it's there, but it doesn't, it's really faded. So that's what it felt like, that little feeling inside me. Like, I get like, yeah, I see all these things happening. And so, and I want to preface this with none of the people in the room with me during this next incident that I'm going to describe gave me any indication that this was their intent. It's just something that unlocked within me. So I have not been at my church gig in a while, and it was something where I was like, oh, am I fired? Like, why don't they want me this year? Like, because if for, you know, the last season and the season before that, I have been hired like a lot. And this season, I haven't had any contracts for any of the concert series or been hired to sing many weekends. And I was in my feelings about it, like, to be honest. And I was like, oh, why don't they want me? And so, when it came around again, that I was going to be there for the first time this season, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I get to go back to church and like do Bach cantata and like sing and like no motets. It's going to be so great. And I was really excited. And I thought to myself, I should, you know, make sure that I am 100% with the material before I go in, because when I show up at gigs, I want to make sure that I am over prepared in terms of learned notes, rhythms, all that stuff. And I noticed that the material for this week was really difficult. Like, as far as Bach cantatas go, there was a fugue in the middle of the first chorus I was like, whoa, dude. So I spent a lot of time woodshedding. And finally I got to a place where I was like 98% note perfect, rhythm perfect, pitch perfect. I'm like, okay, I got this. Feel more comfortable. Gonna show up and I'm gonna be like solid. That way I don't look like, you know, an asshole. So, but that's how I operate. And I showed up at rehearsal, and the sections are very small at church. Like, we're talking 3 of every one, 3 of every bass, 3 of every tenor, 3 of every alto, and 4 sopranos. I think we're all like light voices, so I think they always staff like 1 more, so that the balance is even. But that is very small. Like, if you are to make mistakes or sing incorrect rhythms or sing incorrect pitches, you will be noticed. And so I wanted to make sure that I was, you know, on top of my game. And so I went in, and the first part of the first opening chorus is fine because it's going really slow. And the second half of the piece comes in, and the fugue starts to go very quickly during our first run through. But I had prepared, so I'm like, cool. And for some reason, I sing at a volume and at an expression that is not normal for me. Like, I felt confident, so I just kind of sang out. and everything was lining up, like notes were lining up. And I had especially paid a lot of attention to text, because a lot of the time when I was practicing, I noticed that I would fumble over the words. I wanted to make sure that was not an issue, so I had really gotten that pretty much in line. And after the end of the first run through, I felt a very noticeable vibe shift in the room. And when I am not all together as a musician, and like I feel like I've made an ass of myself, or like not everything that I did, or I made a lot of mistakes and I feel embarrassed, that is a shift that I can feel when I'm, as a musician, and that's what happens to me. But when I was doing this, I was making sure that I was like in line, because I had felt like, hey, I hadn't been here in a while. I'm not going to go there looking like an asshole. I keep saying that, but it's true. And B, I want to be rehired, so I should be the best one there. The vibe shift was from, like, I guess everyone who had not been all together during that run through. And that's understandable. It's a hard piece, like really hard. And I said to myself, almost automatically, oh, damn. I sang super loud. I was very obvious that I know this piece really well. Maybe in the next run-throughs, I should like chill out a little bit. And it was at that moment after I had, this happens all in like a second, right? And I stepped out of myself, almost like a cartoon. And I responded to myself and I said, girl, what? What? Why would you make yourself smaller to make other people feel comfortable? Why would you do that? And when that happened, the fact that I have been doing that my entire life was very clear to me. And I resisted the urge to like hold myself back. No, you follow me. I'm going at the tempo. I am singing all the right rhythms and pitches. Follow me. And it occurred to me at that point that a lot of the feelings I was feeling that I thought were imposter syndrome were really feelings of discomfort. Because my entire life, and this is just a consequence of my childhood, because I had a great childhood. I saw so many places in the world. My parents took me all over Western Europe because we were stationed there as they were in the military, and I lived in really cool places in the United States. But there was a consequence because I was always the only brown face in the room. And that leads to you feeling noticed and ignored at the same time. And when you are a brown face in a white space, you know that there is an expectation of you before you open your mouth to say anything or do anything. And the societal pressure of representing your entire group, wanting to prove that, or having something to prove at all, and trying to stand up straight in a place that may be crooked, in a society that tells you things aren't crooked, is very complicated. And as I've been working through this, I have come to the conclusion that I'm not a fraud. I was just reacting to my environment. And again, I live in a very progressive part of the country, in a very urban, progressive environment, and a lot of what I do professionally here is very sacred, and I'm very lucky that a lot of organizations have chosen to hold very tightly to DEI sort of practices, and the rooms that I am in look like America. They're beautiful. I feel very welcomed. But sometimes if you go to like sub-genres in classical music, like early music, there are even fewer of us there, and by us I mean brown faces there, than there are in other subgenres of classical music. And so there is a struggle with, are you legitimately there because you are talented, or is it optics, or are you a token? And so the wrestling with that has been really interesting. I spent a lot of time sort of working this out in journaling, reading books, and have found that this is a very common consequence if you spend your formative years not seeing yourself reflected in media, in beauty ads especially. This is a very unique thing, especially with women of color, Black women, who don't see themselves reflected in beauty standards that cater to white people as the beauty standard. Because all of my life I thought I was ugly. Clearly I'm not. But I just can step outside of myself and see all of this now. And I have needed some time to sit with it. I also noticed that, the timely sort of release of With Love Megan on Netflix, and if you don't know what that is, I will give you a brief explanation. Megan, Duchess of Sussex, Netflix has released a very Martha Stewart living like cooking show on Netflix, and it is being panned by British media and her haters who can't put their finger on why they don't like her. I read a lot of the commentary online, a lot of the discourse online says she's fake, she's phony, and no one said that about Martha Stewart or like Ina Garten. The gaslighting that I have been a victim of all of this time, is damaging. That my lived experience is the truth, and that as long as I know what is going on, I'm able to sort of navigate the world a little differently. And so I've needed time to sit with this and have some compassion for myself and for little Kay, who didn't have a lot of context for why she was feeling uncomfortable. And so this has been very heavy. And I don't normally talk about stuff that is so heavy, but I don't feel like I can move forward without being transparent. So I've been sort of sitting in that and healing and getting more comfortable with accepting my whole self, which is very different. I don't, someone's going to complain about seeing the toilet in the background, and I don't really care. Look, a toilet. Because there is something really beautiful about living in clarity, even if you do it near like menopause or whatever. I feel like I have been climbing a mountain forever. I feel like I have been digging a hole trying to find like a poison. And you just don't know where it is. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like, they tried to find the AIDS virus and it just kept hiding. You know, it was really good at hiding. It can pretend to look like other things and it's really evasive. And finally they found it, right? After digging for years and years and years. I feel like this is like that. Like I found the virus. And now that I know what I'm working with, I can help myself. And that's been really enlightening. And so that's why I've been really quiet. But I'm back. And I'm not going to be afraid to be my whole self, which is cozy content, bows, Animal Crossing, soft music, doing dishes, cleaning up, playing with my dog. But I feel like for the first time, I can do it and be soft without apology. And I know that's what you're here for. I know that you, whoever's watching this, I know if you are a viewer of this channel, you've come here for like chill vibes. And I also use this to communicate with you all, and I love talking with you, and I really hold this place on the internet as very sacred. And I'm really excited to be here with no filters. It's really heavy, dude. I'm sorry. It's a lot. But I'm really happy I worked through some of this. Still working through. But it's good. It's good stuff. And I'm having a great time. We're about to put on, in a couple of weeks, we're going to open at the opera company. We're doing Carousel, which the story, what the hell? The music, though, to die for. You'll never walk alone. Not a dry eye in the house. If I loved you. June is busting out all over. Ridiculous. The story, though? The characters? What's going on? Me no likey. But it's going to be a fun show. I get to play Enoch's daughter, so I get to be a little brat. And we're having fun rehearsing, and we have a rehearsal tonight. Again, we're going to stumble through Act 2. And after that, I've got like stuff on the musical calendar until June, and I'm loving that for me, because like I don't like being bored. Okay, I don't like being bored. I like stuff. I like my calendar full. So we're gonna have a lot of fun in the future, and we're gonna tear it up. Now, I meant in this video to repot this plant because she's got problems, but I'm gonna do that after I stop filming. But it's got some problems. First of all, it needs to be repotted probably like last year because it blooms. It like dies off. It's doing this all the time. It'll die down. This is a Calathea Freddy, by the way, if you don't know. It dies off, like all the leaves will die, and then it'll be like brown soil, like this little stump for 9 months or whatever, and then it'll come back suddenly. It's done this like 4 times. And then it blooms like crazy. Like you can see all of these little like flowers. There's little white. These things are expired flowers. It's got some that are like getting, so I don't, and it looks like it might have a little bit of the spider mite. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to repot it into like a slightly bigger pot. We're gonna put this in a cashpo, and I may just replace the whole soil. I'm gonna look at the roots, see what's going on with it, see if it's okay, and then we'll treat for spider mites. I feel like it might have the spider mite. But she's very resilient, which is where I'm going to end this, because not only do I consider, I know I'm a very sensitive person, right? But in spite of all of that struggle I felt internally, in spite of all of that discomfort and stuff, I was super resilient. And I did shit anyway, even though I felt uncomfortable. And now my father told me like every day, he was like, you have to work twice as hard for half as much because of who you are. And I did, okay? I'm always overclocked. I'm always over prepared. Your girl is, I'm ready. I show up, I'm ready. But even though I did all that stuff, I felt uncomfortable, I did it anyway. I'm like Calathea Freddy. I am her. So I'm going to take care of this, and I'll let you know how it turns out. But, so that's the life update. I will be back very shortly with a cozy vlog, nothing so intensely personal, if you don't want it. But I hope that it was entertaining, or you got something out of it, or whatever. But I just wanted to fill you in and let you know that I love you and miss you. And we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming very soon. Please take care of yourselves and the ones around you. But especially you. Take care of you. All right.